So thank you so much for joining us here, Coach Carter. Really appreciate you. This is Alan from the Alan and Aaron Sports Talk Radio Show, and we'll start with that. Talk about the opportunity to get this shot of being the defensive coordinator for the XFL Orlando Guardians.
It's definitely a great opportunity. Looking forward to it. Very excited. Working with a good group of guys, so that makes it a lot of fun. And also, Coach Buckley, does things the right way. We had a previous relationship from years ago, Florida State connection. So it's pretty cool. I'm excited about it, enjoying it so far.
Yeah, in fact, talk about that. The fact that you and Coach Buckley, he tapped you on the shoulder and said, "Okay, I want you to be my defensive guy to stop high power offenses." To have that trust in you, what does that say about you and your connection with Coach Buckley?
It says a lot. We connected back when I was in playing at Florida State toward my last few years, and he was just starting coaching. And he always called me a hallway guy, which means, he walked by me in the hallway and said, "Hey, we're gonna try like this or try this today." And I would get it, really quick. So he always knew I had an IQ for the game. And then he's always been, we stayed close with each other throughout my playing career and his coaching career. And we finally got the opportunity to, connect and do things together. So it was, all along we've been kind of waiting on this opportunity, him and I both, and it came up and we took advantage of it.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I just wanted to ask you also, what's worse for you as a defensive coordinator, personal foul or somebody who just jumps the gun at a false start?
Probably a false start.
Okay, that's more frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah, because playing defense, personal fouls could happen when you're just playing hard. And the rules today, also, you can get a personal foul for things that you wouldn't get a personal foul for back in the day.
Yeah.
So I would rather turn a guy down, tell a guy to slow down and to speed up. So the personal foul thing, it doesn't bother me unless it's on the sideline. That's when it bothers you, when guys run out of bounds and you're like, clearly you see it run out of bounds. But the false start thing is pretty, intense. And, we have a state going around. If you false start, then you probably do 5 up downs on the sideline. So that's our rule in practice right now.
Yeah.
Up downs. You're flashing me back to some nightmares, Coach. Coach, this is Kyle Natch with the 3-point conversion. I think we spoke last week a bit. And I did this with Coach Ford in complete fairness as well. But for me, whenever you kind of get an eval or an identity, if you ask the coach that's running that side, you're going to get an answer that I'll say is a bit, I don't want to say predictable. So what I like to do, I like to see what you see in the offense as you're having to coach against them in practice. What is it that jumps out to you that is best in what they do, and what have they provided to help your defense get better during camp?
To not give away exactly what they're doing, I would, they do a good job of showing multiple looks. They keep us on our toes as far as using all personnel groups. So you just never know what you're going to get. And we do a lot of off scripting in practice as well. We have some scripted periods. Then during the off scripted periods, it's like you don't know what you're going to see out there and who you're going to see in the game. So he does a good job of he does a good job of using all of his personnel, not just a few guys. Outside of that, just some of the ways that he creates mismatches with, some of the pieces we have on the outside. And so I'm enjoying just watching and learning, from him as well, because we sit in there and we talk, for extended time about, just ways he liked to attack. And then it helps me understand, how offenses think. So I'm enjoying picking his brain.
Sounds like it's accenting the smart portion of the smart, fast, and furious mantra there, right?
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. As far as you being a former NFL player, how would you speak on the level of talent that you're seeing there on the field versus when you were in the NFL?
It's not a big drop off, honestly. I mean, some positions, you can tell the drop off is high. I won't say what those positions are, but you can kind of tell where the drop off is. But as far as overall, I mean, the talent is it's right there neck and neck. A lot of these guys came from the NFL. It was something either happened or they just didn't they were final man on the roster type thing. or they never got an opportunity. But I can name, it's a few guys on the team that we like, how is he here and not there?
Yeah.
So it's neck and neck, but also, this league is about more than just football from a talent standpoint. It's all about, being a professional, learning how to carry yourself off the field. And, that's what this league also, and our staff is trying to help these guys develop as men and not just think it's all about football, because that's not the end piece to the NFL or in life, period.
Yeah. And a lot of times on the defensive side, you have star linebackers. What should we expect to see when we watch maybe game one as far as the defense? Like, are we expecting to see some great linebacker play, great rushing, or a little bit of everything?
Well, I hope. I mean, I hope so. I hope so. You have a lot. I mean, honestly, you can kind of get a gauge of talent and gauge of, guys commanding, their role on the defense in practice. But man, that game is totally different. And being a former player, I know that, some guys practice very well and do everything the right way, but when the lights come on, they kind of get butterflies. And then vice versa, has been some guys who practice, not as high level as you would expect, but then when the game comes, it's like, whoa, they get everything, they learn everything. So, I mean, it'll all show once game time comes. But I hope we see some great pass rushing, some great linebacker play, and some great secondary play. That's the plan. But we're going to do a good job of putting them in position to where things transform from practice to the game. It'll be the same thing.
It's funny, Coach. Talking to Coach Ford or Coach Buck, there's elements of it from both of them, but the statement that you guys kind of had a system going in, and then as you learn more about your players, you kind of detail the system to the talent that you have in the room. How many changes have you had to make with that in mind? Like, you were thinking X, but then, hey, this guy can do this, or wow, this guy's really strong up front and he's really giving the beef a hard time. How many changes in your mind have you had, or I shouldn't say in your mind, but in practice and in camp there, have you had to make based on the talent of your players?
It's been quite a few, honestly. It's been, in your mind, you scout the players, you get the players, but then somebody else does something that you didn't think they could do. So it's like, hey, let's put him here and see what happens. That's the good thing about, this camp we have, and, us having these joint practices with other teams. It gives us like a way to not just throw a guy out there and say, this is all you can do. It gives us a chance to move pieces around. And that's the unique part about this whole league. It's not just the opportunity for, the players to showcase, but also the coaches to show how versatile you can be, and for you to have an open mind about, things that you would say no to because you don't have the luxury of just going and grab a player off the street like that. So it's kind of like you have to work with what you have. And once you work with what you have and you kind of put those pieces together, it makes you more whole as a coach, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, this is that opportunity element we keep talking about with the XFL kind of turning its way. And I'm not, it's funny, I'm not meaning to ask this as he gets on the Zoom. I assure you that is purely a coincidence. But you had actually identified Terrence Plummer as one of the vocal leaders. What's something you observed him do to kind of take that role during practices?
Well, I mean, he's a linebacker, so he's doing a lot of communicating with the secondary and the front end, so he has to be vocal. But vocal doesn't always mean by what you're saying. I think it's a lot has to do with what you're doing, how you carry yourself. Are you early for the meeting or are you the last guy rolling in? If you're a vocal guy, then I think you have to be vocal with your, I don't mean vocal with the action, but you have to lead by your actions more so than anything. And I think, he's done a good job of that. And, it's been a few other guys, and you can tell some age differences. Some guys are a little bit older, so they kind of already mature. You don't have to teach it. Other guys are young. It's their first time being in a pro environment. So, I think it's more so like I was always told as a former player and now as a coach, just follow the right leader. If you can follow the right leader, then you have a chance. As soon as you start to follow the wrong leader, then you go down the wrong path. So Terrence has been one of our guys who's been one of the right leaders, and guys are following that.
Let's do one or two more here for Coach Carter, and then we'll bring Terrence in if you guys have anything.
Yeah, Coach, and Coach Carter, what I was going to say is that with the league now starting up real soon and you got less than a month away, is there anything that you wish at this point that you could have already gotten to that you haven't gotten to yet?
I can think of 1,000 things, honestly. I mean, no off season, no, chance to, work out the guys beforehand and have like a mini camp, that mini is like before camp, no OTA. So there's a lot you can do. But I think the challenging thing about it is, every team has the same thing. No team has an advantage of the other. So it's fair. But you cannot get enough fundamentals. If I could say one thing that I wish we could do within the time restraints of, would be fundamentals. So that's any defense in the system and playbook and all that stuff is not hard. But fundamentals is something that, that's what coaches really harp on throughout practice is fundamentals. So we do a good job of teaching fundamentals, but if we can have more time, I would definitely love that.
Yeah. And that's fundamental as far as blocking, tackling.
Yeah, that could be just pad level, as far as just being low. It could be fundamentals as far as communication, like sitting in the meeting room with the guy and knowing which guy's supposed to be talking and which guy's not supposed to be talking. Like just small details of fundamentals is something that you gain over time. And that's what the outside world doesn't see in football. But the inside world of football, we know like the more time you spend with each other, the more comfortable you get, the more you learn each other, the level of communication can be a lot higher. And the fundamentals of just how you get off a block, the fundamentals of how you get into a huddle, like small details that people don't think about.
Yeah.
Go for one more, Andy, or?
Yeah, one more. That's fine. Let's just wrap it up with that.
Okay, cool. So Alan asked you there about some of the stuff you didn't expect, some of the challenge. What's something that's gone more smoothly than you would have thought during the camp process here?
Honestly, I would say just like how the whole XFL is running, as a whole. I mean, players are getting first-class food. I mean, to and from practice, bus service, strength staff is pretty good. Coaches are, not wanting for much. We just focusing on just football. So I would say the league as a whole is ran very well so far. And I think a lot of guys are satisfied and happy with it. Just compared to some things that we've heard about, before and now or whatnot, it's blown me off the roof. So I'm very happy with it. And I hope this thing, stays around for a very long time.
Wonderful. Thank you, Coach.
We do too, Coach Carter. Best wishes to you and God bless you.
Thanks,
Thank
Tony.
you.